ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Funky Marketing Podcast. Today is an episode where we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff regarding SaaS growth, sales, LinkedIn, CEOs being involved in LinkedIn, building their personal brand, cooperation between agencies and SaaS companies, and a lot of different stuff. I have a special guest joining us, Peter Caputa, the CEO of Databox. Peter, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Namana. Good to be here. We've enjoyed our banter over LinkedIn and everything, so I'm excited to catch up with you and see what you're up to and share whatever you want me to share.
Indeed, a lot of time we've been going, back and forth, and I've been following the way you are kind of growing not only your personal profile but also the company, through partnerships, collaborations, and those kind of things. And I guess the good thing is that LinkedIn is going in that direction, and basically you're growing the way I see it, like all together.
Yeah, no, I've always been an advocate of companies working together to go to market. It's pretty rare. Most companies think about, the fact that they have a certain set of customers and how they directly get to them and get in front of them, and that can be expensive between advertising, marketing, and sales. But if you figure out what other companies are serving the customers or prospects that you want to serve, and vice versa, who you're serving that could help, be serviced by other complementary companies, it's a lot more fun and efficient. More importantly, I guess, way to go to market. So
yeah,
I've been doing it since my first startup, and it's a key theme in my work over the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, but let's start with, we mentioned SaaS companies, and Databox is a SaaS companies. Mm-hmm. So how do you actually see the scaling of SaaS companies through the Databox example? Like the way from this distance now, when you look at the beginnings, how it went, how do you see the whole journey?
Yeah, so I've been here for 8 years now at Databox.
That's a lot.
Almost 8 years, I should say. It'll be 8 years in the beginning of this coming year, I think. So yeah, it's been a while, and we've grown from basically zero revenue to about 9 million in revenue. We raised a little bit when I joined, about $1 million in venture capital, but largely been bootstrapping. And so if I were to kind of look back, I'd say, it's been some of the decisions we made from a bootstrapping perspective in the beginning have served us really well and given us a lot of freedom and flexibility to kind of grow with the market in a way. And of course, there isn't like a quarter that goes by where we don't think, what could we do if we had more money and we could grow faster and build things faster and all that. So I'd say like my biggest lesson is probably just, what it takes to bootstrap a software company. And like and given that, I think you probably know, and then the other side of that is what you compromise, right? And I think you probably know my background, having joined HubSpot as the 15th employee and staying there for 9 years. So I saw the other side there where we raised a lot of money and we made a lot of big bets along the way, invested pretty much simultaneously to grow every function in the organization, and it worked out, right? The company grew very fast. So I've seen both stories, both playbooks at this point.
So maybe that's a good topic to tackle a little bit. How did you decide to go and focus on bootstrapping instead of maybe focusing on finding venture capital money to grow faster?
Yeah. It's been a difficult product to build, and most venture capital money is looking for, especially later stage, like Series A, B, C, especially. They're looking for kind of the product to be done in a way. Of course, SaaS products are never done, but they're looking for a business where the product, the growth of the business is driven because the product is in demand, the market for that product is growing, and customers love the product, stick around and talk about it, right? So I think that's been hard to accomplish, to be honest, because the product is so complicated. We've had to build so much kind of that's not seen by our users in order to integrate with lots of tools, fetch data on demand from APIs, store it, translate it, transform it, make it so that people can then customize what data they look at and how they view it. And then doing that for all of the integrations that we do, that we have, because we're pulling data from CRM tools and products and social networks and finance tools and all kinds of stuff. So it's just the complexity of that was hard. It's like it's a never ending problem. There's always another
Definitely.
tool a customer wants to integrate with. There's always a different way they want to look at the data. And so we've never been able to really achieve that really rapid growth that I think makes it a no-brainer for venture capital firms to invest in. And yet we have, plenty of happy customers, thousands of happy customers, and our lifetime values based on our customer acquisition cost is maybe the ratio is very high. So I think we've built a solid business, just we haven't kind of figured out how to unlock that fast growth. And it's because the product is so complicated, right? We have 50 engineers on it, which is about half of our company. So I think that's kind of the reason why. That said, we've also been able to build a profitable business. So on the flip side of it is like, well, we have a vision, which is probably a 10-year vision, right? And in reality, we'd love it to be a 3-year vision and get there quicker, but we have a 10-year vision, and I think we have the resources to invest and then continue innovating as well. So in some respects, we've been kind of enjoyed that process of figuring it out and being lean but continuing to innovate. The other thing that I'd say factors in is like I think we kind of grew with the market. Like there are other tools that have been around for a long time, business intelligence tools like Tableau and Power BI by Microsoft and Click and Looker from the original Looker with BI tool, etc. And so they've been around, and they generally, most of those tools, you need kind of an engineer that's going to pull data out of your system for you and put it into a warehouse. And then you also need an analyst that's going to sit there and say, like, what business problem are you trying to solve? And then what metrics can we build from that? And then how would we visualize it? Which ones would we compare it to? And then, an analyst to sit there and pore over the data to find the insights that either they may be looking for or may discover from searching through the data. And that's not approachable for the typical small business, typical professional services firm. And so I think that over time, small businesses have gotten more sophisticated, especially as they're using more software tools and gathering more data and building more like digital processes across marketing, sales, and service. And so I think that wasn't true just 5 years ago, right? Most people were still using just a handful of tools. They weren't maybe using them that well. Their marketing strategies were pretty straightforward. It's like a little bit of content, a little bit of paid, and some offers and some email. Like it was relatively straightforward. And now it's not. It's like you have to be active on, if you really want to market yourself, you have to be active on multiple social networks. You have to write content, create content native for that platform that lives there. You have to do video, audio, text.
Basically, everything became like holistic approach. It's not just I'm gonna focus on closing the existing demand over there. No, but that comes up to a point where you need to invest in brand, in creating
Yeah.
awareness, in all those kind of things. But I like what you said. So you actually focus on creating a stable business, profitable business, instead of chasing unicorns, right?
Yeah, like I think we would love to be chasing unicorns, but that we haven't quite figured out like that. Like we could easily go raise our Series A, the amount of revenue we have, the growth rate we have, like we could easily go raise a Series A. But when we do raise, we want to raise a large fund and go, a large round and go big. And so we just haven't quite figured it out. And so we don't want to be in between, right? We're going to either like continue to tweak and innovate and bootstrap, or once we unlock that thing, that's when we'll go big. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but yeah,
love
we've
that.
been
I love
very
that, and so it sounds good. So you kind of tackle it a little bit. Um,
yeah,
you are serving, and I would say that from my experience working in agencies and those kind of things, like extremely difficult audience, right?
yeah,
Marketing agencies are extremely difficult, customers to have, because everything
yeah.
is changing so fast. Clients want different data from them, so they want,
They're losing
you know,
clients, firing people. Yeah, and there's so many small agencies that aren't well run businesses. Yes, it's a very difficult market. Yes.
yeah. So tell me a little bit, how important for them is having automated reporting, and
Mhm.
using that to kind of achieve their goals, report to the clients, and kind of use the data to make better business decisions.
Yeah. I kind of see like we kind of see three different approaches in the market amongst agencies. And to be clear, like about 40% of our customers are marketing agencies or some kind of marketing and sales related professional services firm. And so we see kind of three different situations. The first situation is where the agency is really just doing check the box reporting. They're doing reporting because they have to. They're and they're mailing it in. Like they're not spending time educating their clients on cause and effect, leading and lagging indicators. In many cases, they're even trying to trick their clients to some degree and making it the work seem more complicated than it is,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially when it comes to SEO still. And so I think those are the some of those are our customers. A lot of them don't end up using us. There are like really cheap, down and dirty tools you can set up in minutes that give you out of the box reporting, and you automate it and it's done right out to the clients. We do have some like agencies that use us for that because they want a little bit more sophistication, but for the most part, they don't use us. The ones where we do well are the agencies who are really partnered with their clients, um, and they're at a minimum getting involved in what happens after they say generate a lead, or after they you know launch a new campaign, and they're making sure that that's producing an ROI for their clients. And so in those cases, those agencies need to connect the advertising data, the marketing data, the sales data, and the finance data all together. And chances are in some kind of custom set of metrics and custom way of looking at the business, because each client is going to be at least somewhat different, right? It's not completely
Mm-hmm.
better. And one of our strengths is the fact that you can get it set up quickly, but you can then customize a lot in terms of what metrics you track, how you visualize them, what sequence you put them in, and things like that. And then I'm starting to see another level of sophistication amongst even smaller marketing agencies, where they're actually getting hired to make sense of the mess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So a lot of companies have adopted all kinds of different tools, don't use them consistently or methodically, and there's three different salespeople, and they're all doing something different, or the marketing team's using this tool and the sales team's still using this tool, and there's a lot of disconnects still. And so these, I hesitate to even call them agencies because they're really like a broader professional services firm, but they're coming in and they're connecting the dots for the team. But they're doing it in service of the C level usually, meaning that their conversations start with the C level and say, "Hey, do you have control over your future, or at least insight into what your future looks like, your future performance?" And they're working with that C level to really connect the vision and the goals to the strategy and the execution. And by doing that, they have a much more strategic relationship with the client, and it's less about like doing SEO or doing pay-per-click or doing website design. Those are things all that need to be done, but it's really about making the smartest investments across all the potential improvements to the sales, marketing, customer support processes in order to get to the outcome that the customer or the client wants to get to. And so those companies, those agencies are much more sophisticated. They're not just building dashboards or sending out reports. They're answering questions like, how does your performance compare to other companies like yours? They're answering questions like, given the current numbers, where are we likely to, what results are we likely to produce in 30, 60, 90 days? They're looking at things like, hey, these two processes are important to connect. And so this is a leading indicator for that ultimate goal that you want. And so we should invest more in here. And if you invest this much more in here, we can expect this much more of an outcome over here. And they're doing that math and showing the correlation of those numbers so that companies can make sense of leading and lagging indicators of cause and effect. And then more than that, they're like monitoring the whole company's data. I like to think of it as like how they flew like the Enterprise SS. I think it's Enterprise SS. It's in Star Trek, right? Where they had all these monitors and they're like, they can sit in that bridge, right? And understand everything that's going on in that ship and everything that's going outside of that ship. And so that's the way these agencies are operating, is that they're getting a really good handle on monitoring in real time for issues and opportunities and adapting, helping their client be nimble and adapt on a more regular basis, on a monthly and quarterly basis, what they're doing and not doing, or where they're investing.
And I love that part that is coming up, because this is exactly the way, because I couldn't do that. When Funky Marketing was an agency, I said, okay, we're going to scale down. I'm going to enter the companies, and then I'm going to involve the team if they don't have the team to actually implement the strategy. Right. So now we basically work as a team of strategies, performance marketers, whatever it is, depending on what clients need. I'm the one who coming up with the strategy and then introducing the team. So it's also connected with the fractional CMO roles coming up.
Totally. Yeah.
And all those stuff. And what you said now, it basically leads me to what I'm seeing from you as you are coming up with, offering the agency like a free partnership to do the research and come up with insights and basically help them in a way, help themselves, help.
Yeah. It's a difficult transition for existing agencies. I think you started in the right spot, because you started as like an expert yourself. You started building your following through publishing, and you're truly a consultant. You're an analyst and consultant, right? You think, you look at data, you discover insights, you share them. You have that skill set. Most agencies don't. Maybe the agency owner, but once they're at 20 employees and 15 employees, the agency owner isn't involved in setting the client strategy. And so if their account managers, or if they don't have full-time strategists, aren't involved with that, then those agencies get relegated to just outsourced labor. They're not, they're specialized outsourced labor, so they get paid, a premium versus, say, an entry-level labor job, but they're not offering the strategy insights that are going to help the client unlock their next level of growth, and therefore, they're somewhat commoditized and interchangeable with other agencies. So what you're doing with the fractional CMO stuff, that's kind of a parallel trend that I'm seeing, which is companies are not hiring agencies as much as they are looking, smaller companies are looking for those fractional CMOs. Maybe they can't afford you full time, but they can afford you 20% of your time. And that's enough because they're not big enough that they need a full-time person, but you bring the strategy insights and help them really chart the course so that the execution work that they're paying for is the right stuff to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm seeing all those stuff. Like we took a new client this January. He's still with us. They're doing real estate, selling apartments and those kind of things. We never did it. It's basically B2C, right?
Yeah.
But I was bored. I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
So and I told them like I wanted to take the full funnel, everything. But they say, we decided that you do like the PPC part, and we are bringing McCann to do social media advertising, right?
Really? Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
I asked for the reason. They said, because people will listen more, if they're coming from McCann. But then, as you mentioned, McCann sends a guy who is not, the strategist,
Yeah.
not looking at the
Right.
things, and
Right.
then,
3 years out of school, right? Right.
and I cannot help myself. I need to get involved in the strategy if I see that things can be better.
Right.
But
Right.
then we are paid the same, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention that like having a strategy for search ads and a strategy for social ads that's not the same is
Definitely.
ridiculous. It's not like certain buyers only use social and certain buyers only use search. Like the touch points and the messaging and the creative need to be consistent across those channels for it to actually resonate with people.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you are selling apartments,
Yeah, yeah,
there's over
exactly.
section of everything
Right,
over there.
right.
But
Yeah, you can't position them differently. Right.
yeah, so tell me one thing. So the things you learn at HubSpot, while you will building, sales channels from scratch, basically over there,
Mm-hmm.
were you able to implement some of those things inside, building the sales motions for the data box?
Oh, you mean with able to leverage the lessons I learned at HubSpot and apply them at Databox? Yeah, every day there's things that I can like. The team almost gets. I get sick of saying when I was at HubSpot we did it this way, but I still have lessons like hard lessons learned that are relevant. Just yesterday we were talking about implementing a more consultative sales process in our process, and the question is like, how will we teach our sales reps to do that? And I'm like, I did that before. It's not easy, but I know what to do. And I tried 6 different things there, and the 2 of them worked, and I'm going to try those here. So I don't always know the answer, right? But yeah, I definitely have a lot of relevant experiences. Like I was there for 9 years, and we grew from basically zero revenue to a few hundred million, and so it's a lot of learning packed in a 9-year period. So I could probably list 100 things that I learned at HubSpot
Let
that
me
I'm
let me ask you one specific thing.
yeah.
I don't know if people ask you that before, but I didn't hear the answer, so I'm gonna ask. Like,
Yeah,
if you look at HubSpot is known for its, like inbound marketing,
yeah.
right, and growth. How is inbound marketing change if you look at it now and how it was back then?
Yeah, so when I joined Databox, like one of the things is like we're going to do inbound marketing. I spent 9 years not only selling it myself, but convincing agencies to go sell inbound marketing services, and did that thousands of times over. So I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't do inbound marketing. I truly believed, and I still do. So we built our business largely off of SEO, and inbound marketing, if you want to call it that. We published a boatload of educational content that attracted the right audience. We had calls to action in that content that drove them to more high intent pages that provided free value, and that is how we built the business. It's still the main driver of our business. We get about 7,000 signups for our free product every month, and about 6,000 of that is organic search. Now, as it's hard to perfectly measure what's organic, what's search, what's social. Like it's all over the map nowadays. But and not always trackable perfectly, but like SEO is huge. So yeah, definitely leverage that. I didn't have the budget that HubSpot did. And so one of the things that we did was from the beginning out of necessity was to work with others to create that content. So we started by just saying, hey, we're going to write an article on this. And we'd go out to like 5 people and say, could you give us a brain dump on that? And then we'd send that to a writer and weave that into an article with quotes from those 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
We evolved that to the point now where we have at any given time, we have about 40 research surveys going on. And we have a network of partners out there that are actually helping to recruit respondents to those surveys in addition to our own recruiting of respondents. And so we kind of stumbled upon this method of producing really thorough content, that multiple perspective content in an efficient way. And as you know, over the last 8 years, Google loves that stuff. It wasn't the thing then, but over that time, like Google came out and said, hey, you should have data in your articles. We're good at producing survey data, right? You should have perspectives from other people in your articles. You should have multiple perspectives. Like they literally say this now in their guidelines, as you know. So like we do all that and we do it efficiently because we built systems and processes and an audience of contributors that do that. But what's changed, I think, drastically is that it's really hard to create demand from search engine optimization these days. It's really become a capture tool. I think if you rewind the clock 10 years ago, like you could write an article that attracted the right audience, and then you could get them to convert into your funnel, and then you could get them to try your product. And that still works, I think, in non-competitive industries, but in competitive industries, it's nearly impossible to rank for those things that are popular search terms or relatively popular search terms, because there's so many people not just publishing content on that for that term, but like constantly updating and maintaining that content. So it's like it's an arms race really for trying to get that traffic. And so I think, for most companies, I think SEO it's really become a demand capture, and you should really focus in on the keywords that convert. And beyond that, unless you have a really high domain authority already, I don't think you should be playing in the game of trying to grow search traffic around educational content that doesn't have a pretty clear connection to what your product and service does. So I think what's changed a lot with inbound marketing is it's really less about publishing that content on your website, and it's more about creating a really thoughtful piece of content that then you completely repurpose for a different channel. So we still create these long research reports, lots of data, and then we publish them on our blog. But then what we do is we'll do a podcast on that topic, and we'll publish that podcast, right? Then we'll take snippets from that podcast and we'll publish that in a LinkedIn post. But all of these pieces of content, while maybe not as complete as the full report, do stand alone. They make a point, they provide an insight, etc., that doesn't require that reader or listener or viewer to click and go somewhere else or go back to our website to read it. And then moreover, what's happened is that the interaction with your customers doesn't happen on your website anymore. It happens on these social networks. And so what you have is like multiple marketing stacks almost. Because if take LinkedIn, for example, where I love and I'm active on it, I consider that as a tool for me to do cold outreach and reach new perfect fit customers. I consider that a tool to attract and get those people and other people that are following me to raise their hand. I consider it a tool to nurture the people I'm connected with, because they're seeing multiple pieces of content and getting to know my perspective and trusting, and I'm starting to trust my credibility at least. I'm seeing that as a tool to drive word of mouth, right? The more engaging that content is, the more people that follow me are going to share it with others inadvertently through just leaving comments or liking it. And so it's really a full marketing stack. I got my inbox over there. I can automate messages when I want to. I don't do that very much, but like that's certainly helpful in certain instances. And so it's like a full other stack. And so that's to answer your original question of how inbound's changed. It's gotten way more complicated. There's more channels, more stacks almost. The one other thing that's made it more complicated too is uh, you can't just publish like educational content on social. It doesn't work. Like people don't need another how-to article. So the content you're producing for these social channels needs to be stories, whether it's your own story, a customer story, somebody else's story that you interviewed. You need to be connecting with people and kind of collaborating with them in a way on that content creation so that that content actually hits, it resonates with people. Content marketing is no longer a, let me do a little keyword research, let me go in a room by myself, let me Google some stuff to learn a few things and round up my knowledge, and let me write a piece of content. It's not that. It actually starts with, let me go talk to people about a specific topic, let me learn, let me bring my insights and experience into that conversation. But then my content is going to be what I learned recently, not like what I've known over the last 20 years, right? And so,
Exactly, it's changing from how to how I. That's kind of
yeah, how I or
the
how
way
they.
I'm seeing
It's
it.
really important for most businesses to be writing how they or how he, how she, whatever content, because rarely do our businesses marketing to people like them, right? If you're a real estate company writing about how you did things, at least if it's not from the customer's perspective, it's not going to be valuable. But if you write about how people love your apartments and the experience of moving in and the experience of whatever improving, buying their first home, like that kind of content is what's relevant to your future buyer. So it's more how they. But yeah, you got the point. Yep.
Yeah, I love how you describe it. I mean, I basically, back in the days, we used to go to Google to for everything, right? To get
Right.
educated, to learn, to those kind of things. Now we go to Google, if we know what's on our mind,
When you want
from
to
the
find
start.
something. Yeah.
We already have the intent, so it's becoming a channel that's just capturing the existing demand, and at the
Right.
same time we change the way we spend time, right? We all spend more time on LinkedIn and actually doing our real
Yeah, I
job.
think like we're all learning so much at this point. Like we've all, I think, not all of us, many people have carved out time in their day to learn.
Yeah,
And whether it's an addiction or whether it's justified, who knows? But people are spending a half hour, sometimes more on LinkedIn, right? People are going to YouTube and subscribing to things and making time each week to view their favorite channels. Many of them educational. My son started a auto detailing business this summer, and he taught himself everything he needed to know from YouTube.
nice.
Yeah. So and subscribing to people that do that work and explain how to do that work, what products to use, etc. So I think the times he probably went to Google to learn how to do something was probably zero. He might have gone there to buy some products, to research some products, but he didn't go there to learn.
Yeah, I guess TikTok is a better guess than Google these days.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was going to say TikTok. That's where he really got into it because I think he likes cars. So then he started seeing TikToks related to auto detailing. He's like, I'd like more. I'd like more, make some money this summer. So he's like, maybe I'll do that. So then he went to YouTube. So there's a real progression of starting with social to peak interests and learn about things, and then going to other sites and tools to
Yeah,
do that
exactly.
funnel.
And I mean, basically, seems like LinkedIn is becoming the ideal platform for what you're building and the way you're doing it. Because the way
Yeah.
I'm seeing it, like one research gathers small group of people around it,
Yes.
decline to that niche, to that industry, then you get another one, you get another one, you get
Yeah.
another one, and basically you create small kind of communities. And I always direct people to the vision and mission of LinkedIn, right? It's
Yeah.
connect people and make them more successful,
Right.
and more educated. And this is
Yeah.
exactly what you guys are doing. And what stands out in all of that, like you are leading the whole thing. As a CEO, you are not saying, guys, you should go and do that. You are leading by example.
Yeah. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day. I'm like, I wish I could delegate this, and like, I have a great marketing team, but like they're all doing really important work. And so when I look around and like look around, I'm like, who's the best person to be doing this right now in their current state? It's me, right? I have a reputation, a following, and I have, I think, interesting perspectives that people react to one way or the other. And so yes, I lead. I lead kind of like our, I don't like to call it this, but I lead our thought leadership marketing, right? I'm helping the marketing team with doing research, primary research, feeding our editorial calendar, and then helping with execution of some of the creation and promotion, of course, of what we're doing. So yeah, I'm very ingrained. We have a really kind of tight process where we start with a topic that we know will be of interest to our partners and customers, and also has some connection to our product or service, or at least one of our integrations. So we integrate with the 80 popular software tools. So there's no shortage of topics. But once we pick a topic, our first step is like, okay, let's go do a little reading and let's design a survey around this in order to understand how companies are doing this thing these days. So like, how are they picking their Facebook ad objectives? How are they doing their sales forecasting? How are they using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example? These are all real topics that we've studied. And then once we design that survey, we have a list of people who've responded to surveys in the past, so we'll promote it to them. That'll usually get us our first 100 respondents or so. But then what we do is we partner with other organizations to co-brand that survey. So we have one that we're doing right now where we have 6 different partners all promoting the survey, gathering their own respondents. They have access only to their own the contact information of their own respondent data, but everyone, including every respondent, has access to the preliminary anonymized multiple choice data from multiple choice questions immediately. So that's the incentive for people to participate. So that once we get enough data and quotes from the respondents, because we ask open-ended questions at the end of the survey, we'll start to weave that into data and share that, say, on LinkedIn posts. So we'll see a theme like, okay, a lot of people are talking about using smart links with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Maybe we should talk about that and share the data we have. That, because I didn't know about smart links before. I'm guessing there's lots of other people who didn't know about smart links.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So let's write something on that. And that, creates engagement, also allows us to then get more people to take the survey. Then what we do is we actually have a live session. We call it Debug, Databox Benchmark User Group, where we'll actually share the preliminary data from the survey and go into breakout rooms where each of our partners leads a breakout room discussion, sharing and discussing insights based off of the data we've collected so far. So that's a good touch point, allows us to connect it to our product. So for example, we're doing a survey on forecasting, and we happen to have a forecasting feature in our product. So very natural tie-in, but not promotion, not in their face. It's really about the data, but we'll of course mention that we have a forecasting tool in the product during that session. And our partners are also out there using this data in their sales process. So once we have enough of the data, they'll go to people and say, hey, would you like to see how your use of LinkedIn Sales Navigator compares to other users of LinkedIn Sales Navigator? And they say, hey, take the survey. We can jump on a call if you want. I'll walk you through the data so you understand it and you understand the insights from it. So now we have people out there talking about us privately, right? Kind of outside the view, right? They're doing one-on-one conversations related to the data. So then sometimes we'll grab one or two of those experts. We'll record a podcast episode. And then, of course, from there, we'll publish the final report once we have enough data. And then oftentimes I'll get invited to go on a podcast and say, hey, discuss that data with somebody else. And since we have all these podcasts, we have this live session, we have all these little data points from each question, like there's no shortage of shorter form content that we can publish on social. So it really is like a never-ending loop of being able to publish fresh content related to those topics. And we don't have to sit there and think, oh, what should I post on LinkedIn today, or what should our next YouTube video?
That's the biggest issue and the biggest stopper for most of the companies.
Yep.
I love that. I love that. And basically, it became the way I look, whole go to market motions now. It just became, can we create a loop around something, or a few loops that,
Yeah.
they go infinitely, and
Mhm.
just create content, create the streams, and basically, build something with the customers.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's still too many marketers out there creating content for their prospects instead of with their prospects and customers, right? Like the best thing you can possibly do is get your customers in front of your prospects. And I think everybody that ever has hosted an event knows that, right? If you bring your prospects in and some customers in and they talk, you leave there with new customers because those customers convince those prospects to do business with you. But then when we go online, we forget that lesson, it seems, and we just start writing what we think and what we know and why we're great instead of like, here's what our customers did as a result of working with us, right? Or hey, here's what 50 companies like yours are doing, and oh, by the way, we happen to help some of those with this thing. So it's so obvious to me, and there's so few marketers that are creating content with their community.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm starting to work more and more now with companies approaching me to kind of help them in a partnership role or something like that.
Okay.
We can call it influencer marketing in B2B
Yeah.
or something like that. But and some of those are still in B2C mindset where they say, oh, we're going to pay you per post and those kind of things. But I tell
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
why don't we create like the lava effect, I call it? So each creator now has a newsletter, maybe a podcast,
Right.
has a large audience on LinkedIn or maybe on some other platforms. So if we involve all these, channels or tools, how do we call it, we can
Yeah.
really create something meaningful and involve even other creators inside it,
Right.
right? And I
Totally.
like what I'm seeing in the last couple of months, more and more companies understanding that and approaching, can you help us actually build a program
Yeah.
or do
Yep.
something together, not like we're going to pay you per post, how much do you charge, right? Because
Right.
especially on LinkedIn it doesn't work. Nobody can guarantee that your post is going to just, flip or get lost in an algorithm or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. I forgot. We also have a newsletter that we then take and write a long form newsletter with the lessons from the reports that we write. So, and you're totally right. I think that there's more and more companies that are realizing that um, they could either maybe do what I'm doing, right? Is they take CEO, founder, some senior person, and like that's part of their job. Like they're going to spend 2 to 4 hours a day connecting with people and talking about the company on social and building that funnel that way, um, or they're going to do what you're talking about, which is go out and find somebody who's already has the trust and reach into the market they want to serve, and somehow make it worthwhile for them to help get that message out. I agree with you that like paying per post and things like that, it's not. I as a marketer, right? I would never do that. I don't feel like one post from a person is really going to influence many people.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's not going to bring the company back if you look at from
yeah,
your perspective,
right, exactly. And then the other thing too is I think you're a smart guy with a lot of experience. They should tap you in a collaborative way to say, hey, we want to show you our product. We want to talk about you why we got here and what we did. And we want you to talk to a customer or two. And we want to tell you about our roadmap and what our vision is. And so that, and then we're going to give you some stuff that you can repurpose and rewrite into your own language. Like that's the right way, because then you're probably going to come back to them and say, hey, did you think about this? Or did you think about this? Or let me
exactly.
rephrase it this way, because I think that'll resonate with my audience better. And so that give and take of you learning and kind of assimilating that into your brain, and then communicating that out, like they're going to get so much more value out of it beyond just the promotion. And the promotion will be way more authentic, and therefore it'll resonate a whole lot more with your audience as well. Not to mention that, like, I think people need to hear about something or see something 50 times these days in order for them to really take notice. So like one
At least
post
at least 15, yeah.
is gonna do it. So you need that ongoing relationship with influencers to make it work, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So, anything that I didn't ask you that it's on top of your mind now after the conversation that maybe you want to say?
Oh, let's see. I would probably say that I think over the thing that's on my mind lately is that over the next few years, the way we operate businesses is going to be so different. There's no way a single human or even maybe a handful of executives will be able to have a handle on everything that's going on in a business. And so this is my warning to companies. I think there's two things you got to do. The first one is you need to pull your data into one spot and let uh, that's the first step in order to do again two things. Sorry, one is to let the software and let AI ultimately help you understand what's going on. You're not going to be able to do it as a human. It's too complicated. There's too many moving pieces, too many variables. Second thing is to pull it into one spot so that you can then manage your team and empower your team members to really drive performance in your company. And the problem I see in most companies is that they don't do that. They don't empower their team members. When we did some surveys on this, we found that less than 50% of organizations make their performance numbers visible to anyone below the management team. So as a result, like the management team is kind of operating and pulling all the strings, giving all the direction, creating all the process, all the systems, making all the technology decisions. There's no possible way that's going to work in the future. The business going to market is just way too complicated. And so my warning to companies is get your data into one spot and start letting AI help you and start empowering your team, teaching them how your business operates, what things impact what, so that they can make more informed decisions on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis that you don't necessarily have to be involved in, or at least don't need to neither be the one to decide upon, right? You can let them kind of at least operate in a way where they're informed and can make suggestions that you maybe approve. And so I think that's the big thing that I'm championing and these days is that you really got to lean into use of data. And if you then to do that, you have to let go a little bit.
Yeah, I love that, guys. Now is the moment in the episode when I tell you to go back to the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, stop when you see something that that drives your attention. Maybe if something you don't understand or you want to get deeper, you can find Peter on LinkedIn, send him a message, ask a question if you have any, or anybody from Databox team. You can reach out to me. I'll connect you if that's easier. But Peter, tell me and everybody else where they can find more information about Databox. About you, I guess it's LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. I stopped using Twitter or whatever he wants to call it these days. So yeah, I'm fully on LinkedIn. It's the best place to get a hold of me, even better than email these days, unless you have my cell phone number, which I don't give out to everybody. To check out Databox, we have a free plan. We actually have two free products. One free product allows you to go in, connect any number of about 50 different tools that you might use, like a HubSpot, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, etc., and instantly see how your performance compares to other companies anonymously. So that's free at benchmarks.databox.com. And then we have a free tool, a free version of our analytics product, which allows people to consolidate all their data into one spot and start so they can ultimately make better decisions on it. And like I said, empower their team to make decisions. And so you can just go to databox.com and click free sign up there and you can get in there. My team is very responsive. You go to our website, we have chat there. So if you ask a question, our team will answer. We also you can book a call with somebody in our sales team. Every one of our new customers starts on a trial of our paid plan. So our sales team's job is to literally help people evaluate and set up the product. So they try to be as helpful as possible. And if you're interested, check it out. There's no obligation, and you get to see the full product without a
Love
dime.
that. I love that. Basically, the way I see things is, the how easy it is for customers to start using the tool and getting results is the differentiated these days. With especially in your field, in your industry, when there are a lot of like competitors and those kind of things. And I was just before we started recording the episode, I was cursing the locker because we was using it for a client, and API doesn't work the way it is, and I'm
Yeah,
like, uh, I don't know
yeah,
what to
yeah.
do. So I
Yep.
might thank you for that, and just connect the data box and start using it.
Yes, we've put a lot of effort into making it as easy as possible. So thank you for sharing that.
Love that, love that. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for coming here, sharing, and I'm sure we're going to record a couple of more episodes to go into a lot of stuff. 20 years to unlock is a lot for just one episode.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Great chatting to Maya. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, same guys. Find the links in the description to Peter's profile, to Databox website, and everything. And I'll see you in the next episode. As we always say at the end, keep it funky. Cheers.